Hey, we
Hey
are.
guys, what's going on? Hey,
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 there we
real
go.
quick. I know, Nate, I'm gonna let you have it, but for some reason, the reason we just did like the cold start, and you guys can hear me. Hey, this is why I'm gonna let you host tonight, Nate, because I'm all messed up right now. Yeah, sorry for the cold open, guys. For some reason, the encoder just like skipped the countdown and went straight into the video. I don't know what's going on. So sorry. Go ahead, Nate.
All
Take
right.
it.
Well, who knows? Live production, folks. If you're not in the business, you don't know. But if you are, you know these things happen. It is what it is. You just live and you move on. But yeah. Welcome to a new episode of Star Wars Newsnet Live, where tonight we're going to be talking some Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Down in the corner there, that bottom left is our very quickly put together little countdown clock. We're under 2 hours to go, folks. 2 hours to go. I don't know if you guys are going to stay up all night like me, but I certainly am. But we're also going to be talking some Skeleton Crew and maybe some other stuff. Who knows? It's that kind of show where you guys lead. You guys know the drill if you've been here before. We'll see. We're all Star Wars fans. We all love it. And we're just going to chat about what we love. And we're joined today by the one and only Brian Miller and his first time on the show, Mr. Tyler Bradshaw. How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Again, sorry for the cold open. I don't know what the heck happened there.
All right. Well, let's just jump in. We're going to kind of take a detour and put off the Jedi Survivor talk, go for a little bit, kind of let more small people come in if they're straggling. And we're just going to jump right into Skeleton Crew. And the reason why we want to talk about it tonight is nothing major, but it feels like one of those shows that no one is talking about. So we just kind of wanted to talk about it. So I don't know, guys, are you looking forward to the show? What do you guys think about it?
It's one that I think is flying under the radar right now. It's one that I don't think a lot of people are really talking about it because nobody knows anything about it.
Right.
Is the issue. And so they're keeping the veil on this one. They're playing this one really close to the chest, which is, I guess, it's not really out of the norm because, I mean, look how long it took for them to give us anything for Ahsoka. And it's, 4 months out. And, Skeleton Crew is going to be the later part of this year. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's stuff coming down the pipeline. But, yeah, I think it's just so enigmatic. Is that the right word?
Yeah, that's a word.
Yeah, close enough. Did I get it close enough? Anyway, it's such an enigma right now. There we go. I don't think anybody's really talking about it. I think it's being outshined by Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I personally loved the news that came out at Celebration that Carrie Condon from Banshees of Inisherin was going to be in the show. I don't know, like, her level of involvement. Is she going to co-star along Jude Law? Is she going to pop in? But I love that movie so much. I loved her character, loved her performance. So when I saw that come up, I was instantly, my level of like hype probably rose about 10 notches. Can't wait.
Right. And yeah, that's the thing. You just mentioned it, is that this show is being led by Jude Law, who is a world-class talent. And when they first announced this show at last year's Celebration, and then they announced with Jude Law, my jaw hit the floor because I never would have thought he would have joined this franchise. But it's like he's done this kind of stuff before, just now he's in a galaxy far, far away. And yeah, Carrie Condon, another name I never would have expected to join this. And yeah, she's going to be great. She is an up-and-coming mega star in the making, for sure.
And the Jude Law's playing a Jedi, which I 100% never thought that was going to be his role. And I don't know what you guys think about the number of Jedi they've been introducing post Order 66 over the last several years. But I definitely didn't expect Jude Law to be playing a Jedi leading a bunch of kids.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. And like the log line of the show, if you're super unfamiliar with the show, the log line of the series is that a bunch of kids get lost going into space, and Jude Law just happens to be with them. For what reason, we don't know. Where they are, we don't know. But I think it's the mystery of this show that is really interesting to me. And another thing that's really interesting to me is the behind the scenes talent that they are bringing on. The Daniels just coming off of winning an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once. David Lowery, and I forget what his name is off the top of my head, but the Paper Towns director who's going to be now moving on to Thunderbolts, the Marvel Studios film. So they have a very interesting cast in front of and behind that I'm just really interested to learn more about. So, but
I think Bryce Dallas Howard's directing an episode as well.
Let me see if I could pull up
the director list.
Yeah. Skeleton Crew.
Real quick, MB Wilson asks, is the Jedi thing confirmed?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. At Celebration, I know they said he was Force sensitive, but I can't remember if they said Jedi for sure. So I'd have to dig into that. But yeah, I don't think any of us were at Celebration, so none of us remember what we were said. And
sadly,
yeah, but yeah, I think everyone's making that leap, and like as Tyler's alluding to, if he is a Jedi, yeah, and like there's going to be, I'm starting to wonder how many Jedi there are at post Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Yeah.
Like those clones did not do a good job on Order 66.
No, but at the same time, I'm sitting here like, well, the galaxy is so large, they can't get everybody, and there's some that just went into deep hiding, like Yoda. I mean, there's bound to be a ton more. So
I'm so mad though, because like in Return of the Jedi, Yoda tells Luke, "When gone am I, the last of the Jedi you will be." He is talking out of his ass. Because there's so many Jedi left in the galaxy.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, here's the list of directors. Daniel Kwan, Daniel Scheinert, David Lowery, and Jake Schreier, and Bryce Dallas Howard and Lee Isaac Chung, who did episode 3 of Mandalorian this past season, the one that focused all on Coruscant with Pershing and Kane. So yeah, that's just an interesting batch of people that probably it leads me to wonder what type of show this is going to be. Is it going to be weird sci-fi? Because I can't see it being very big on action, because these aren't action directors. So I'm very curious on that front of it.
I think this is Skeleton Crew we're still talking about, right? Okay. I was making sure we hadn't just like slipped into Ahsoka for some reason, because I don't know why I was thinking we were talking Ahsoka for just a second. But no, I think I mentioned it last week. Nobody else seems to remember the show on Nickelodeon growing up, Space Cases. Like it's the one show like I always remembered and always loved, and it feels like this is Space Cases in Star Wars. It was a bunch of kids in some space school that this random alien spaceship showed up, and so they got on the ship, and then they took off through like a black hole and got lost. Since it was basically like Nickelodeon Star Trek Voyager.
I'm looking at it now. I got nothing for you on that.
Nothing for Space Cases?
I do not know.
God, I'm telling you, that's not a Mandela effect. I know that existed.
Oh, I believe
Space
it.
Cases. If you said you had me at Star Trek Voyager, though, so
yeah. So another reason we wanted to bring up is jumping back to Jude Law. He was on the Tonight Show earlier this week, and if you haven't seen the video of that, he is not only a world-class actor, but Jude Law is a very charming man. Like he is just a world-class dude in general. And like, and this article, when he was on the Tonight Show, he's talking about the time on set, and he was quoted here just talking about the Amblin vibes, your ETs of the world, and just that kid-focused adventure, but it's not a kid's movie. Which is another element I'm very curious about the show and the balance they strike with it as well.
It gives off Stranger Things vibes to me, almost like
that was how they pitched
Jude
the
Law,
show initially. Stranger Things.
Jude Law's he's the hopper of the group, and he's with these little kids, and he's probably putting his hand on his forehead constantly, like little kid just deactivated the hyperdrive on accident, and we're about to crash land on some moon.
Yep, that was the pitch way back when the rumors first started coming out. Is that someone pitched it as Stranger Things in space, which leads me to wonder, are we going to get some weird, creepy aliens like the Demogorgons and stuff like that? I mean, in theory, there's stuff going around that they could be going to the unknown regions and places we've never been to in Star Wars before, which would be very cool. I'd be into that very much.
Yeah, definitely. I with a show like this, I hate to compare Star Wars to Star Trek. I know that's sacrilege and heresy.
Go for it.
But it's like, it feels to me like this is going to be like Star Trek Voyager, with Star Wars kids. That's honestly what it feels like to me. And you could really explore a lot of the dark corners of the galaxy with that, and set up a lot of stuff, especially I think you can set up a lot with the New Republic. If these kids are all missing and the New Republic's out looking for these kids, or what, I don't know what the story is going to be, but no, you could there's a lot you could do with this show and plant a lot of seeds for things.
That's the other thing, is this show is going to tie back into the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and all these other shows somehow, supposedly. But yeah, that's a very good point to bring up, is how exactly. And like these kids that they have, their names are Robbie Cabo Conyers, Kiriana Crater, Robert Thomas Smith, Ryan Kiera Armstrong. And there's also someone cast named Tuna Adebimpe, I think how that's said. There's only 4, but there's 5 names here. So someone's not. I can't narrow it down just on a quick Google. But I'm very curious about how they will be. Because child actors can be hit or miss. But I feel like with Jude Law anchoring it, I feel like they're going to be okay.
I feel like the show's going to be like a young reader novel on screen is what I feel like it's going to end up being.
And Brian, I hate to put you on the spot, but if it's Star Trek Voyager and Star Wars, who will our Borg equivalent villain be for Skeleton Crew?
Man, it's a good question. It's a good question. They can start planting the seeds for, this big crossover movie Filoni's doing. They could, there's so much that they could end up doing. There's going to be more and more hints, probably not in the first part and probably not in this first season, but probably toward the end of the first season is when they're going to start dropping the seeds about the Thrawn thing, and start showing that all these shows are going to start colliding into one massive show eventually. So I don't know who the antagonist could end up being.
Well,
could be, maybe it's going to be that green seaweed pirate we saw.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is, correct me if I'm wrong, but at Celebration, I believe they said the dude that Thane, I believe, is the character. On the sidekick that kind of just ran off. I believe he's in the show. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he's coming back to be in Skeleton Crew based on, I can't remember if it said that at Celebration.
The one that wouldn't go down with everybody else?
Yeah, basically he just ran off into the sunset to live to see it fight another day. So I believe they said he's coming back, but that could be in the rumor mill. I can't remember. I'd have to dig it up. But
the timeline wise, I think I read on Collider that season 1 of Skeleton Crew takes place pretty much the same time as season 1 of Mando-ish. Okay. So I was thinking probably wouldn't see a crossover season 1, but you might hear about stuff. But down the line, I think it'd be cool if they ran into Mando and Grogu down the line.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I see MB Wilson down in here. He says Vane was in the trailer. So, yep, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Yep, there we go. So he's coming back, guys. And I don't know. We never saw a body of Pirate King Gorian Shard. He could be coming back too, guys.
No body.
I was on the show. He is the best, worst villain in Star Wars, and I will stick by that. I want him back.
In my podcast group, there was a graphic that one of my buddies shared, and it was kind of showing the main characters in all of the live action series so far, breaking it down by episodes and how many episodes each of these characters appeared in the series. And out of every episode in live action so far, there's only been 4 episodes of live action Star Wars TV that did not have Din Djarin in it. So are we going to see Din Djarin pop up in the show somewhere? I think he's the glue that's holding everything together right now.
It's possible, because if it's around season 1, there's a lot of side adventures in there. And we also don't know the scope of how long the season 1 will cover. It could start at the beginning of Mando season 1, but by the end, they could be all caught up with Mando season 2 or whatever. And there's so many side adventures, so we could. But yeah, I don't know.
I'd love to see just maybe right before Mando season 1, Mando in his old rugged armor just absolutely just on a bounty hunter type journey and runs into them before he meets Grogu, before he has kind of his character development and turns into a dad. And he's just the lone gunslinger that interacts with these kids. He's like, I never want to do this, never want to do that job that guy's doing.
Yeah. And showing that old, rundown armor would be a really good way to set where this takes place.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a really great way to kind of establish that. So yeah, that'd be all right with me.
Yeah, and oftentimes in premieres they do that kind of stuff where they establish where this is, because there's going to be questions going in because it's so under the radar. And honestly, Skeleton Crew is such an odd non-Star Wars name that it's going to be tough to bring people on off the bat. Mm-hmm. So having Mando in right away, that could bring people on board right away too. So
it's got to have a good killer first 2 episodes.
Absolutely. It's got to come out
killer first 2
It's got to come out strong.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, it could really I'd struggle. I mean, Andor struggled viewership wise, but I think this could struggle more if it doesn't come out of the gate strong, for sure.
Especially with Andor being a main character and for what a lot of people consider the best of the films Disney has put out so far. And for his show to not be that well received at first, if you got a show with all unknown characters, nobody's going to watch it at first. Yeah. So they've got to come out strong. Yeah, they've got to.
It's a tall task. Yet I am down to see them try to basically steal the year because already Mando, a lot of people liked it, but it was very mixed. Ahsoka looks like it'll be great, but I would love to see Skeleton Crew sweep in and be the best show of the year. And I think it has the potential just based on the talents, but we just don't know. So
I'd be curious to see what marketing looks like in the next few months, because they don't want to steal the spotlight from Ahsoka. But like you guys said, with a unknown show like this, if you're not at least putting it in people's heads a little bit earlier, because I don't know if you remember when Book of Boba Fett was coming out, there was people that I know who like Star Wars 2 weeks before the show premiered. They're like, this is a thing. What?
There was nothing marketing wise that show basically until late November, early December, and that show premiered weeks later after the main trailer dropped.
They played it so close to the chest.
Yeah,
they didn't want anything to get out.
Right, and I mean it worked for the most part. I mean that show drew in a bunch of people, so that works. I don't think this is I don't think this is the same case because Boba Fett is a legacy character, so he's going to draw in massive numbers, but no one's going to watch this show unless the marketing is great. But I don't think they're going to touch any of that until Ahsoka's done. That's just the way things are. But Ahsoka is in August, so at the very earliest, we'll start seeing stuff in October, which I think is totally fine. Yeah, so I think that's a fine window. I mean, you get 2 months of interviews and a trailer to kick things off, and maybe a second trailer. So and of course, you never know. Maybe Ahsoka will have a connection to it. You never know.
Possible.
Yeah. All right. You guys have anything else you want to add on Skeleton Crew?
Every moment that passes since hearing the director's list, I kind of get a little bit more excited. Every single one of them I just think is a stellar find that I never thought would be attached to this show, especially.
Right. The Daniels in Star Wars. I mean, we'll never get an Everything Everywhere All at Once
that movie
type of thing.
So wild.
It was so wild. And we'll never get those vibes. But imagine if we do.
Vegas odds on Jude Law having hot dog fingers to start the show. He comes
or if anyone knows Swiss Army Man, maybe he's a farting corpse. Swiss Army Man, maybe he's a farting corpse at the top of an episode for one. I don't know.
God.
Hey, if you haven't watched Swiss Army Man, treat yourself. That is a wonderfully weird movie. So if you thought Everything Everywhere All at Once was weird, that's probably even weirder.
It's the prelude to Swiss Army Man.
Yep.
I really liked Repo Man too. He was really good in Repo Man.
Yep.
He was in there with the Whitaker too. Now that I'm thinking about it, so yeah, that was a fun movie. Anyway,
I'm so excited for Skeleton Crew, but it's like I wish we knew more about it. So it's like you can't get super excited because we know so little. But I love what they're doing, and I don't know. I'm just hoping for the best with it.
Sydney Square says they have been adamant that the show is not a kids show.
Right.
All bets are off.
Right. Yeah. The initial pitch was Stranger Things in space, and that's a horror show. So it's like
Horror show.
That's not a show for kids.
We need some horror in Star Wars, man.
I agree. And I would love it if they go down that route with this show.
Yeah.
I think they could too, especially if they bring a really go into those vibes. And of course, David Lowery, he has a horror background as well. So, I mean, it's very possible they really go into that. So
if they do, I can't watch it at night during, the late hours. It's an early morning rise for me. I'm a wimp. Can't do it. Watch it as the sun is rising, not setting.
Yeah, I'm very picky about when I watch my horror movies. I need the sundown, but the problem is I'm turning into an old man, so I fall asleep within like 10 minutes. Yes, that's my problem. And I work so late that I get home at like 11:30. So by the time I start it, it's almost midnight half the time, and it's like it's over. I can't.
Even Star Wars, you fall asleep during Star Wars?
Yeah,
man, I can't say anything because I fell asleep during the Phantom Menace when it was 3D.
I fell asleep, and anyone watching, do not take this out of context. But I fell asleep during The Last Jedi, not because I didn't like the movie. Not because I didn't like the movie, but it was like
a great disturbance in the Force.
But it was
chat's gonna blow up now.
It was a 1 a.m. screening, so I'm sorry. I was a tired man at 3 a.m. I am sorry.
No excuse. No excuse.
Sorry.
Nate hates The Last Jedi. Confirmed. Blasted on Twitter.
And he says, "Clip it." Soundbite.
I'm sorry.
No, I remember when Phantom Menace came out in 3D because they were going to do all of them, remember?
Yep.
And then they just never did. And so I remember
thankfully
going and seeing Phantom Menace in theaters. And the one scene I wanted to see was when the hangar bay doors open and Darth Maul's standing there and you hear the ho, 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 ho. Like that's the only scene I wanted to see in 3D. I fell asleep during the pod race and I woke up in the middle of the lightsaber battle. And I was like, no. But anyway,
all right. It's tragic.
So I can't give you any crap for falling asleep during Star Wars.
I also fell asleep during Solo, but that's just because it was
a boring
movie. a very boring movie. I'm sorry if you like Solo, but it's a very boring movie.
That's a little more forgivable.
I enjoy it, but but I had to watch it a few times before I really appreciated it.
It's growing on me. It's all right.
Yep. All right. So another thing I wanted to jump into before we get into Survivor is kind of along the same topic of Skeleton Crew, but what's going on with Ahsoka? And Timothy Zahn, the creator of Grand Admiral Thrawn, was in the news. He has been talking about some stuff, and he has been praising the casting of Lars Mikkelsen, praising that, which great casting. So I'm excited to see what he does. But apparently, and I know you guys are book guys, so I got really excited when Timothy Zahn was basically quoted as saying he wants to write new Thrawn books. So what are your guys' immediate reaction to that news?
Please, yesterday, please.
So
yes,
this is funny.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
No, go ahead, Tyler. Go ahead.
This is a funny story. So I had just joined the Star Wars Newsnet writing team, and I love reading Star Wars books. And the third Thrawn Ascendancy book was coming out, in a month. And the guy who leads us all, Val, goes, "Can anyone review that book?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'll got it." I had not read either of the first two, and I volunteered.
Oh, no.
So I then was like, all right, now I got to order these. And I read all 3 of those books in 12 days.
Those are clones.
It was
12 days.
I did nothing.
Those books are like 1,200 pages each.
I sat on my ass and read Thrawn for 12 straight days.
And those books, they're good books. They're not like top tier, but
I'm so glad I enjoyed them. And I'm like, I'm never doing that. I was like, I haven't touched a Thrawn book since. It was just detox for a while. But.
Dude, those are deep books too.
I'd be ready to dive back in.
Yeah, they're very dense, but Thrawn is a type of character that he is a tough character to write. POV on, and those Thrawn books where they're just Thrawn, they are a commitment beyond all else. So yeah, I mean, credit to Zahn that he's able to write like that, but man, I don't know how you manage that.
I'm hoping he does another trilogy, and I think it makes sense that he would do a trilogy of trilogies for Thrawn. Especially, I mean, he wrote his first canon, not the first Thrawn trilogy. When I say the first trilogy, the first canon one. When he wrote the first Thrawn trilogy, that was right along the time when he was being introduced to us again in Rebels and kind of showing how he got into the Empire and leading up to it, and even kind of weaving in and out of his appearances in Rebels. And then when we got the Thrawn Ascendancy books, that, by the way, are just, I mean, they put the first Thrawn trilogy in an entirely new light after you read the 3 prequels. Holy crap. Because now you go back and read the original Thrawn trilogy and you're like, holy crap, like all of this was planned, like all of this was with a purpose. What the heck? So it only makes sense now that he's coming back into the limelight to do another trilogy of books. And I think it's going to happen.
I think so too.
Oh, MB Wilson disagrees. Zahn will never get Thrawn back. He belongs to Filoni and Favreau now.
Well, I would be able to refute that with a quote from the man himself. All right. Well, here is what, let's see. Is this what before I go ahead and claim to refute, I want to make sure that this quote actually refutes.
Before he... He's like, I know you're wrong, but I want to make sure I'm right before I prove you wrong.
I think Zahn did say, like, Filoni, at least in him, talked.
Yeah, they definitely talked, and the basic quote in this article from Clone Web, a different site, Clone Web translated it from a French article. I believe he was at a convention where he said this stuff, but basically he said, in regards to that, he believes Dave Filoni is up to the task for Ahsoka. He said, the danger is that the screenwriters write it badly. He is a tactician, always ahead of his enemies. Dave Filoni showed in Rebels that he understood the character. So I think everything will be fine as long as Filoni and Favreau remain at the helm. So, I mean, he's fine getting up the character to those guys. So, and of course, I am always available to help them if needed. We only talked briefly about this all, but Dave promised to meet the writers and discuss with them in the near future. And I know Zahn was also involved with how Filoni brought Thrawn into Rebels. So it's like, yeah. So, I mean, Zahn's been in the picture. And remember, he was writing Thrawn novels while Rebels was going on. So he's had the character while Filoni's had him. So. But yeah, it's like, will we get Thrawn unrestricted? No, because he's in live action now, and that's just the way it is. I mean, once a character goes into a movie and TV show, their appearances become very restricted to what Lucasfilm and the higher powers that be want. So in a way, you're right, but I also am like, well, Zahn has really been in the weeds on this as well. But yeah, so that's one. Yeah, that's my stance on it.
But the fact that Timothy Zahn is so impressed with it, and you honestly, you can't get anybody else to play Thrawn. I mean, you probably could, but to get the voice and the mannerisms down and the personality that we saw in Rebels, which was chef's kiss perfect, it just makes sense to bring him in, and he looks the part. I think we've all at this point seen that leaked image of him from the Celebration trailer where they actually showed him red eyes and everything. He looks great. And so obviously he's a little bit older Thrawn than what we saw in Rebels, so it makes sense that he's aged, just a bit. So I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Couldn't be more excited. Ahsoka's going to be, I think it's going to be amazing. I say that I'm a little biased. I think I own probably 18 different forms of Ahsoka in terms of pop figures, action figures, posters, whatever. I mean, so I hinge my entire, well-being and reputation on this movie being good. So
I think I said this last week too. With this movie that Dave Filoni's doing, the big crossover event. I remember, I know I said this last week. I know when I was growing up, I was so excited for episode 3 because I was like, this is the last Star Wars movie we're getting for a while. Like, I counted down every day for it for like 3 years. And then it was over. And then I remember being so excited for episode 7 because we were getting more Star Wars again. And I was like, what a time to be alive. And I was so excited. And I was so, I was just like, this is going to be great. I have never in my life been this excited for a Star Wars movie. In my entire life, I've never been this excited. This Dave Filoni thing, I just bring it on, dude. This is top tier excitement for me. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, Salvador Mendez is in the chat asking if you guys think that the new Jedi Order movie, the Rey movie, set 15 years after Rise of Skywalker, is going to become Episode 10. I'll let you guys lead this one off if you guys think that or not.
Yep.
I would say no. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that the Skywalker name lives on, but I think they've been pretty clear in their language of that's the Skywalker saga, and they're wanting to try to branch off and do something both familiar but also still separate. And I think that that's probably for the best as well. It just lead into a new era, call it New Jedi Order 1, whatever they want to do. Don't make it Episode 10. I feel like a lot of the fan base might get a little upset because it felt like, when Episode 3 came out, okay, there we go. They had that whole emotional trailer. It's the end of the journey. And then Episode 9 came out. So it's the end of the journey. If we do this again, I think you might start to lose some people.
I think it depends on how much Rey is in this movie. Because we keep calling it the Rey movie, right? Mm-hmm. They've never said it's a Rey movie. They just said she is in the movie as the Grand Master. Yep. So it depends on how much she's in it. Like Episode 1, Yoda's the Grand Master of the Jedi. Is it Star Wars Yoda? No, it's Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Yep. So she can be there all she wants as, the Grand Master that's sitting, on the High Council, whatever she creates. But if she's the main character in this movie, if this is a movie about her, then yeah, this is Episode 10. Because Disney needs to they can't have both ways. This is either Episode 10 or Rey is not a legitimate Skywalker. Because if Rey is a legitimate Skywalker, this is a continuation of the Skywalker name, the Skywalker saga. This has to be Episode 10. If this is a movie completely about Rey and what she's doing, and she is the main character in it, and they don't call it Episode 10, they're admitting she's not really a Skywalker. That's kind of where I'm at.
It could be Episode 10 in production and everything is, but I don't think that they'll ever make it Episode 10 in name. Like they're just trying to do they're trying to have their cake eat too, essentially, I think is what they'll do.
Basically.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. Make no mistake. You could treat this as Episode 10. I doubt we're going to get many movies inside this 15-year period between Rise of Skywalker and this, if any.
It'll be full of books.
For sure. We're definitely gonna get some books. Yeah. I can't wait for those books. But make no mistake, this is in spirit Episode 10, but I don't think there's a way in hell they call it Episode 10. Because what you guys have been saying, they were adamant that the Skywalker saga is over. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm also we're probably gonna get Luke in this movie too.
Force Ghost Luke?
I think so. Probably a cameo. Probably something else. Because Rey, whether or not she's the main character, she's going to be a very crucial part to the movie. 100%. You don't bring her back just for a small 5-minute cameo at the beginning of the movie. She's going to be a major part, and I think she's going to have a major arc. And I still think Luke and that Skywalker name is going to be a part of it. So in spirit, it's 100% going to be Episode 10, but they're never, ever going to call it Episode 10. And I think that's an extension of the other movies as well, because I remember them saying that it was never Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. It was always Star Wars, The Force Awakens. It was always Star Wars, The Last Jedi. When we got to the movie and we sat down, all the crawls, of course, said Episode 7, Episode 8, Episode 9, and so on. But when they were marketing it, they very rarely straight up called it Episode 7, Episode 8, Episode 9, to the best of my memory. But yeah, this one for sure, they're definitely not going to call it Episode 10. But in spirit, it's going to be episode 10, in my opinion, because there's too many things that are still unresolved from the sequel trilogy that need to be addressed.
MB Wilson says that would make Rogue One episode 3.5. I disagree, because yes, Vader's in that movie, but for how many scenes? 2? You know, so it's not about a Skywalker. There's a Skywalker in it, but it's not a Skywalker movie. So I don't feel like that would be an episodic film.
To me, the fan edit of Obi-Wan Kenobi into a 2.5-hour movie is episode 3.5.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, if you haven't seen that, go treat yourself. That's a wonderful fan edit. And I really like the series, but the fan edits, the fan edits that have come out after that have been really good too. So, but now that's an actual movie. Awesome. But yeah, but to me, that is now episode 3.5 in a show or in fan edit. That has to be because of how they approached Obi-Wan and Vader in that relationship. But yeah, Rogue One is, that's just its own thing in the timeline at this point. Yeah. All right.
Get you doing. Do the
do. Got to power up.
And you want to know why?
Do not.
You want to know why I'm drinking Mountain Dew, guys? Because I'm going to be staying up all night. Get MB Wilson's comment out here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, we got to move that. Sorry,
Let's
buddy.
bring up that timer. 1 hour and 23 minutes away from Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Oh, man.
If you have it preloaded, that is when you can play it at 11 p or midnight Eastern is when the global launch is happening. If you don't have it bought yet, well, you might have to wait a little bit, probably, to buy it in stores or whatever. It's a big game, so you'll have to wait quite a while to download it. That's a problem. But that also means that we're going to be playing this game for a long, long time.
It's the 5th biggest download for a video game ever.
Is it?
It's 155 gigabytes.
Right. Is that really the 5th biggest?
5th. That's what I read that. Yeah, I don't remember who it was. Did IGN run a story on it?
Maybe.
I think they did. It was 155 gigabytes. Yeah.
Yeah. Real quickly before we dive into this, anyone in the chat, if you are privy to spoilers, please be kind, be courteous. Don't, because I know they're everywhere online at this point. Earlier when I was browsing YouTube, I saw a freaking 5-hour cutscene movie of the game already up on YouTube. I'm like, how? So it's like
they're touching inappropriately to get that.
So it's like they're out there. I don't know how people are getting them, but it is what it is. But yeah, so we're all really excited. And to answer your question, MB Wilson, have we seen any of Survivor outside of the trailers? No, I haven't. I don't know about you guys. Have you guys seen any formal or watched any? Yep.
Just kind of the recap of the first game is really all I saw.
I've been avoiding everything like the plague. I don't want to have. I even forced myself to watch the trailer just because of some Star Wars Newsnet things. But I didn't want to see even a little bit. I just want to jump in, download it, and be able to experience it all.
The ground running,
yeah. So we know nothing about the intricacies of the story, so you won't get any spoilers from us. But in the chat, please be kind, be courteous. That's all we ask, because so many of us are dying to play this game.
I'll moderate the best I can.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but hopefully you guys are civil because these next few days. I know, right? So yeah, I just kind of wanted to start off this conversation with, what are you guys most looking forward to getting into? What are you guys looking forward to playing or getting back into with the story?
Nate, you and I came off very fresh before a lot of people did with Jedi Battle Scars.
Did you read that, Tyler, yet? Did you read that book?
I have not read Battle Scars yet.
Okay. So we probably won't talk.
No spoilers on
that.
So, oh man. Okay, let me think for a second. So Jedi Battle Scars, that was a really great book to kind of prime the pump, to get us back into Cal Kestis' story, and to kind of reintroduce us to the characters, and to kind of let us know what to expect out of the game a little bit, kind of where everybody's at, where everybody's doing, and you know why certain people may feel certain ways towards other certain people. You know what I mean? So
maybe physically altered or some other things.
You know,
we're not. I don't know.
So, but yeah, no, it's which funny because I didn't even notice about. I'm not gonna say who it is. The physical, alteration to somebody, and then I read the book and I'm like, wait. And I went back and watched the trailer. I'm like, well, son of a gun, it is there. Like, I'll be dang. But yeah, no, I think it was a really great way to kind of reintroduce us to the characters because the first one came out, 4 years ago?
Yep, 2019.
2019, so 4 years ago.
Yeah, right before, actually, I believe same weekend as the premiere of The Mandalorian. And just shortly, it was mid-November. I can't remember when Mandalorian premiered.
When they put the premieres for two big things like that right neck and neck with each other, so you have to choose.
That was a wild end of the year because at that point we're also getting ready for this little movie called The Rise of Skywalker. So it's like we're all trying to make plans to see that and get tickets and all this stuff. Meanwhile, you guys are just dropping giant video games
in between everything.
I know, right?
Son of a.
It was wild, but yeah.
But no, I'm excited to kind of see where this, because I mean, at this point, Cal is no longer kind of the student. He's kind of out on his own at this point, and from what I kind of gathered from the trailer, full on Jedi at this point. I mean, he is full bore, and so I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited about how people are calling this game the Arkham City. To Jedi Fallen Order. This is basically the Arkham City sequel. So,
and reviews for this game are out the flipping roof. So, they're very positive. And the one thing I'm most looking forward to is you touched on it with Battle Scars. And the other thing that book really did is it kind of set the stage as well for Cal being on his own. And I'm very curious how they handle that because we see all of the Mantis crew, but at the end of Battle Scars, they're not apart, but they're definitely not okay. And they're definitely a bit fractured. And that's came across very well in the marketing for Survivor as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm very curious how they handle that. And I feel like if this series goes to a trilogy,
I'm hoping it does.
It won't surprise me. This game's going to sell gangbusters. So they're probably already making the third one. They're already probably developing things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm very curious as to how they handle that and where they leave the story off because who knows? I mean, we know nothing about this story, so I'm very curious.
Yeah.
With Cal being on his own, I just am really excited to see perhaps just a deeply introspective story for him. And then like with the character that's the Jedi that with the High Republic robes from the trailer. If anyone has even remotely familiar with the High Republic, that fear is kind of the crux of what the Jedi deal with and what is fear. And I would love for maybe that to tie into Cal's story, him an introspective journey where he's wrestling with this fear of the Empire, fear of losing the family he gained from the first game, something like that to steer him on. With that's kind of what I'm hoping for in the game. Story wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one of the things as well at the story that sticks out to me is, well, Cal won't be alone all the time because we have seen him with Marin in gameplay. We've also seen him with this new character, Bode, in gameplay. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see how that focuses in gameplay. But the other character that really stands out to me is I know Tyler, you're a big High Republic guy. I know, Brian, you're trying to catch up, but it's hard. I know. Yeah. What in the world is up with this High Republic lost Jedi guy, do you guys think?
Has that been confirmed that it's a High Republic?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
My.
Yes, it's a guy from the High Republic.
Oh my God.
He's wearing the getup, and I believe they also said, I can't remember who said it might have been Stig Asmussen, the director, who said that it was a High Republic guy. Man, I can't remember what.
I wonder how many name drops or references are going to be maybe subtly put in there.
I don't think we'll get much, but
what era was he from? Like, if he mentions Starlight Beacon or something like that, I'm gonna throw my controller in the air and just have to take 5 minutes.
Okay, it's peaked. Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't know that. I'd heard the rumors about it, but I didn't know if that had been confirmed. That is freaking awesome.
Yep, I can't remember where, but I am 100% positive they confirmed it. If so,
that makes a lot of sense now. In a lot of things are kind of falling into place for me. I guess I'm just slow because, with him telling Cal in the trailer, you let the Jedi fall to this
That's new great line.
corrupt
order. It's a wonderful line, and he didn't even sound like villainous in it. He was more just pissed. It's like, what the hell did the Jedi turn into?
All of this for the galaxy, and you just let it fall to this great value empire.
We stopped the Nihil and whatever else is coming in publishing, and you guys just gave it all away to this.
Or even imagine if he was, frozen, or he's in this tube, whatever he's in. He's
I'm very curious about that. He's like in some kind of like cryo chamber type deal.
But like, imagine if he's there before the Nihil and Markian Row and the Nameless even become a thing, and everything is just peaceful and happy, and then he wakes up and the temple is now this imperial palace. What the heck?
Excuse me.
And I was gonna say this is the first time we've seen anything, anybody like cryo sleeped in canon, but it's not. And so I was getting ready to say I'm not a big fan of that idea, but it's already been done. So we'll see what happens with it. I kind of want to see what happens when you drop a High Republic Jedi into a galactic empire.
It's such an interesting thing because remember, this is the first time. Honestly, this is the first time that we're going to see the High Republic on screen, whether in a game or a show, which is very exciting. It's very exciting, and I'm curious to see how they deal with that. And I don't know how. I honestly don't think there will be too many references to the publishing aspect of what we've got, but yeah, it's going to be really cool to see that different perspective on what the Jedi are, and if he even still believes in that, who knows?
Yeah. I think there'll be a couple mentions though for the people that do read the books and keep up with everything, and they'll plug them in.
I just love the image you get of him when he's saying that. He's holding the stormtrooper helmet. It's so good.
Yeah, that's very good. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
So a few months back, I wrote an editorial for the site Star Wars Newsnet. 5 things Survivor needs after 5 things I discovered after replaying Fallen Order. So 5 things that, all right, Fallen Order did this, but Survivor needs to do this, take those things and do it differently or improve upon it. And one of those things was boss fights. I love my boss fights in video games, and one character I am dying to take on is, I can't remember the character's name, but the species, the Gendai.
Oh yeah, the immortal one.
Yep, I am very curious as to how that inevitable boss fight plays out. I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be stalemate. It has to be a stalemate. That's gonna be that boss fight that nobody wins. Like at the beginning of the first game when you're fighting Trilla for the first time, and it's like the tutorial fight or whatever. Yeah, nobody wins that fight.
I wasn't surprised. I believe it was Stig as well that did an interview when they unveiled the character that he's going to be a major part of the game, and his dynamic with Cal is going to be quite complex from the sounds of things. So it wouldn't surprise me if we do get that type of Trilla situation where we're fighting them 4 or 5 times, and then it slowly but steadily gets more epic in scale as we go. And that's very exciting to me.
So how many antagonists is this game going to have? Because I mean, we've got High Republic Jedi popping out of like ice trays. We've got
those 2.
There's the senator. The senator got what's his species again? We see him. It's like
he's
Utapau in episode 3. No, it's
I can't blank the Utapauan type of thing.
Only 8 million species to remember in Star Wars.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
There's that. I don't know if it's been confirmed, but I know there's people on Twitter, minor spoilers.
Oh boy.
Minor spoilers, but I believe based on looking at the tweets, I believe from the Fallen Order, the ninth sister might be back in the game.
What?
Okay.
I can't confirm that. I don't know.
She's the one that lost the hand, right? The big like.
Yes, and then Cal pushed her off into the Kashyyyk forest, and I believe she was spotted in the trailer, like way in the background of a cutscene. So I believe she might even be in the trailer. I believe, but yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. But again, like we always like the old adage is, no body, they're probably still alive. So it wouldn't surprise me if she's back in there somehow.
I hate her. It took me 10 hours too long to get past that spot.
Yeah, she was a good fight.
Oh, I may or may not have beat her first try. So,
you know what's funny too? Like it always threw me off, and it still does, because I re-downloaded Fallen Order onto my PS5 when it was free for the PlayStation Network guys, and so because I didn't have it on 5, and so I re-downloaded it, started playing it again. And it still gets me every time at the beginning of that game when she grabs him and holds him over the edge. And she's like, I found the Jedi. And the voice doesn't match her at all. Even later on when she talks, like, it's just like, for some reason, that line does not match her voice acting at all anywhere else in the game.
Yeah.
I just thought it bugged me.
But yeah, beyond those potential 3 or 4, I don't know. And that's kind of what I'm most looking forward to about this game is how much we don't know about where this is going. Is Vader coming back? I don't know. Is there another Inquisitor running around somewhere? Maybe the Grand Inquisitor is running around somewhere in this game, because there's also in the trailer, if you guys remember, there's this hooded cloak guy with a red lightsaber.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it could be another fight, but I know that first trailer was more cinematic, and cinematic trailers mislead and throw off all the time, so I don't know exactly what's going on there, but yeah, well,
Vader's got to pop up again, because he knows there's 2 Jedi that got away from the Inquisitorius, free and clear, and he's like, how'd they get away? You know, I mean, like, he's gonna be hunting them. He knows they're there now.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I was late to the game. I was late to the game with Fallen Order and didn't start it for several months after it came out. It was in the middle of lockdown, COVID, hadn't left my house in forever. It was perfect time to start it, actually. And my roommate had nothing to do because he's stuck at home. He's watching me. I finally, get to the part where Vader shows up, and I had no idea. I avoided all the spoilers. And it's midnight. I jump up, and I'm in the zone. I do not read the instructions. All I saw was Vader, and I just charged him immediately, and he flicked his little hand thing, and I died instantly and realized, I'm supposed to run away. That was, I'm like, okay, I got to chill here.
Right. I'm the guy who says, I don't care about spoilers, but I was spoiled on the Vader thing at the end of Fallen Order, and I was pissed. I was very upset. And it took away something from the end of the game, because it's like, man, that's such a cool thing that I should have expected. But I never would have actually thought possible. So, yeah, I feel like
you're wanting horror in Star Wars. That's like a horror moment,
right?
Video game moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He was terrifying.
You hear the heavy footsteps, and you're like,
what?
Yeah. And the fear in the Inquisitor's face, like the thing, like that's the thing that I've noticed recently is with the Sith Lords. Like they're doing a really great job of showing how fearful everybody is of them. You were talking about the fear thing earlier, Nate. Because I mean, with Vader, how terrified she was. She knew she wasn't going to make it out of that. She knew she wasn't. And look at Bad Batch at the end of season 2, when the Emperor finally comes into the Senate room, and you hear the boom, boom, and the pylon starts to lift, and it's the Emperor. You could have heard a pin drop in that room. That's fear. That is pure terror on a galactic scale. So they're doing a really great job of showing how fearful, these Sith are. And then even when you're running away from Vader, I was shitting bricks, like trying to get away from this guy. And then you think you're free and clear, and you're like, I did it. I'm on the elevator. I'm good. And you get to the door, and he's right there. And you're like, what? And so
what the hell is this quick time with that?
He almost kills your best buddy. BD, there would have been no forgiveness if he kills my droid.
That droid will run right into the face of death. He don't care, dude.
I would have cried.
So he's too brave for his own good.
What? So, talking about people who might bite it. We're just talking about BD, who we thought might, BD was so close at the end of Fallen Order to biting it. Do you guys think anyone is going to die at the end of Survivor or throughout the game?
Are we doing official predictions?
I think so. I think now's the time.
Seer. I think Seer's a goner.
Seer, yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. Because heading in, so Battlescars established her as a Jedi Master now, and she and as a Jedi who took on that title, but doesn't really know what she wants per se. She's very lost in her path, and throughout Battlescars, she found it in basically what you see in the Survivor marketing, essentially as the Jedi Order's new archivist. So we see her looking into data and all kinds of stuff. So I'm very curious about what her arc is in Survivor. So yeah, I feel like she could be one when she gets back into the action, because she will.
Oh yeah.
Will she fall back to the dark side? And could she be the one that's axed by Vader this time for real?
That'd be tough.
I definitely see her getting back in the action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could it be a Kanan Jarrus thing? You know, Jedi lost her way, comes back, takes on kind of a masterly role, sacrifices herself for the crew, for the team.
Keeps Vader busy while they get away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, real quickly, peace out, Sydney. Have a good night. Get some sleep, unlike myself and probably many others getting ready to play this game. And I cannot wait to slice through some animals. I cannot wait to just go on an animal genocide.
Got an hour left, man.
Yeah, 1 hour, 2 minutes.
Do you have it downloaded? Do you have it ready to go?
Yep, ready to go. Jump right in. I don't know if they're going to make me download that first day patch right away, but
that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, that's just the way games are these days. It is what it is.
I'm a big Assassin's Creed guy. So I know all about day one patches and glitchy games.
And that's just the way the industry is. I mean, these big giant AAA games, you can't see everything. So once it gets out in the world and people start playing, then you get all the reports back. It's like, yo, this ain't okay.
And actually, what's funny is now that you say that, the Fallen Order, when it came out pretty golden. Woo! It came out with not really glitchy at all.
Not really glitchy. There were some, but nothing.
They had a pretty clean release.
Wasn't there a game-breaking save type situation? I believe. I believe there was a certain point, a certain place where you tried to save that it just broke the game. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I can't remember, but yeah, there were some bugs like every game has, and some of the platforming, especially when you're trying to jump off of ropes and slide down things. So some of that was a little wonky, but whatever. I mean, it added to the charm of the game for me. But hopefully, if that stuff makes a return, that's a little bit more cleaner in Survivor. So,
is Cal Kestis really going to be getting new haircut ideas out of crates? Is that happening?
That'd be awesome. But no, I
think it is. I think that's how you get the new haircuts and the beards and stuff. Is it's in the
I think what's going to happen. I think before we even start the game, we're going to get a customization menu and we just pick what we want. I would be flabbergasted.
Please be right.
I'd be flabbergasted if we open up a crate and we get that full beard. We
just the solo mustache.
I better get a beard that matches mine in there somewhere.
Just a crate of facial hair. You just
I want redneck Cal Kestis.
Facial hair, and I don't know, some hot glue just to glue it on your face or something.
Mullet. Business up front, party in the back. Let's do it.
You unlocked the left side of your beard. You must find the other crate to find the right side.
God. But no, I think the crates will again just be lightsaber customizations. So
yeah.
All right, we are under 1 hour. MB Wilson, no sleep for me at least. I know Tyler's working in the morning, and Brian, I don't know if you're planning on staying up, but
I gotta work in the morning.
I don't. I took the weekend off.
Oh man, hardcore. Look at this guy.
Yeah. I took the weekend off from my morning job. I have 2 different jobs. From the morning job, I took off. I still work my night weekend shift. But it is what it is. But
I've got a bit of a busy weekend, so I'm hoping Sunday I'll finally.
Are you going to be able to complete those force puzzles and things on a no sleep? Are you going to be able to power through those? I don't know how long it took me to get through Zepho my first time.
Now that you mention that, I am a stupid man. So if these puzzles are hard, I'm going to be a lost puppy. It's like, oh my God. I can't do puzzle games for that reason.
Nope.
Like my brain in a 3D space when I see puzzles just shuts off. I don't know what it is, but I just cannot put everything together.
What do I do with my hands?
That was the benefit of playing 4 months after it came out. Was I could just quick YouTube how to move the balls on Zepho around.
That's how I beat 3D Zelda games. I have to look these things up because I just can't do it. Yeah. My brain just doesn't function that way. If it's a 2D really plane, like olden days video games like SNES and earlier, easy all day long. I can solve any puzzle in the book. But the second it gets into a 3D game or 3D plane, nope, I'm done. So I am worried about that.
I did see this game's got a lot of accessibility options.
Yeah.
So did like Last of Us Part 1, right? Mm-hmm. When they redid it, they had an option where you could skip puzzles completely, and it would just get you past the puzzle and keep on going with doing what you were doing. Right. So maybe
that'd be interesting.
Be an ego boost for me.
Yeah, I forget. I forget to dig into those accessibility options every single time, and maybe there's some that could help me. But no, one of the ones that stood out to me in that is the arachnophobia mode where you can toggle the spiders on and off in the game. So if you don't like spiders, you don't have to fight them in Survivor, guys. So
really?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
I'm yawning. There's no way I'd make it through. That's a thing, though? I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently. I saw floating around online that if you don't want to fight them spiders, just toggle that little setting off and just which leads me to wonder what's going to be in those spaces. Are you just going to be able to waltz right through?
Clowns. It's going to be clowns. You're afraid of spiders? Guess
just trade one phobia with another.
Yeah, let's do it.
All the Imperials that have got demoted for bad things, their thing is like they're forced to dress up as clowns and patrol the hallways with the spiders.
I love it.
Oh boy, I'll toggle that mode. Let's do it.
I'll do that instead of having to YouTube search a puzzle and then still not be able to complete the puzzle because I'm an idiot.
Now that you bring up the puzzle parts of these games, because there's challenge rooms in this game that might get really tough towards the end of the game. I could be in some trouble. I could be in some major trouble. But hopefully I drink enough dew. I have a lot of dew in my fridge right now, so I should be good. I should be good. I don't know how long I'll be able to stay up tonight, but I am planning on at least a good 4 or 5 hours and just get a good feel and then dive full board into it tomorrow. But I'm very excited. And
boy.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to add.
No, I love these big canon releases like this. When everybody gets so excited for new content like this coming out, it's a great time. I love it.
Yeah, this feels big time. This feels like a massive, massive release.
You remember when LucasArts used to do games? Like, the hype behind the games wasn't this big. You would just go to the store and you'd find them on the shelf and be like, oh, hey, there's a new game out. Let's just try that one. You know what I mean? Now it's like we're building the hype up for all these games because they're so story driven now. And it's like,
and that's a benefit of only doing like 1 to 2 games a year.
Yeah.
As well. As much as it sucks for us gamers, it's definitely a benefit that each release feels massive.
It just brings in an entire new community of Star Wars fans who might not have even know who the characters in the Andor show are, but they can tell you everything about Fallen Order and Survivor. It's just cool to see the different pockets of the fan base come together. Jack Black.
He's ruling the world right now. You never know. Jack Black in a spider costume.
Wilson, what are you doing, man?
Jack Black in a spider costume. He already rocked the Bowser outfit to sing
Jesus
Peaches.
Right. Oh my God.
He's got a solo number for the.
I saw his comment on the stream before I did it in the comment box, and I looked down just in time to see it pop up, and I was like, yes. Oh my God.
All right.
They don't have a toggle for that. You can just toggle the Jack Black toggle. Every NPC is Jack Black.
All right. Well, I am also seeing a question from one Salvador Mendez in the chat here. I'm jumping back
to Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, now that we're kind of wrapping up our Survivor thoughts and predictions, let's kind of bring it back, kind of go back full circle back to Skeleton Crew, and we said Jude Law's character is a Jedi. Possibly, we're not 100% certain if he's a full blown Jedi or Force user. We have to do some digging on that, because the internet's the internet. But this is also but it's an interesting question here. Do you think he had a connection with Obi-Wan's brother? Jude and Alec Guinness are very similar to me.
Ooh.
Because remember in Obi-Wan Kenobi when he was chatting with Leia, he said something that he remembers possibly having a brother. And that could line up if the brother is Force sensitive but not a Jedi.
No.
Because he was never brought into the Order.
I don't think the timing and the age of the characters lines up, because Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan was in his 50s or 60s when he died. And if he was taken for the Order, at just a couple years old,
Obi-Wan would have went there at like 1 or 2, maybe 3. And
but would Jude Law have been born yet?
In that case,
you know what I mean? Like, because I don't
probably not. No,
yeah, I don't think he would remember him.
I don't know. I don't know. Those Tatooine sons age a man.
They do.
Probably.
Yeah.
So it's possible,
Brew, man. It was tough on Brew, man.
I mean, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan got a lot of gray hairs in those 9 years, but after the Disney Plus show to The New Hope. So I don't know, but yeah, I also don't see it, but that's an interesting. Who is Jude Law to the Jedi Order? I think that's an interesting question heading into the show for sure.
I don't think the Obi-Wan brother thing, I honestly don't think they'll ever do anything with that. It felt just kind of like a one-off comment talking about the family that he really never had, because it just felt, to me, it felt a little poetic, because he's talking about this brother he didn't know sitting next to Leia, whose father is really the brother that he chose and the brother he forged, and Anakin. And I think it was just kind of all of that. I don't think it was meant to ever, I don't think it'll ever be delved into.
It's still, that one-off still added a lot of depth to Obi-Wan, though.
Oh, for sure.
As a character, just because if he remembered that then, like, he knew that his entire time growing up, and that was always in the back of his head. You know what I mean? And so,
right.
Because even, every Jedi, especially, Anakin obviously had his connections outside of the Order, but even Obi-Wan had, kind of flirted with the idea of it a little bit. You know what I mean? With Satine and some of the other things that we've read in canon. So, yeah, it really added a lot of depth to him, I thought, and something that, there were times that Obi-Wan thought about leaving the Order, just so that he could pursue those connections with other people. And so, I thought it was a really cool little comment, and I think it added way more depth than even what they meant to be honest.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's Jude Law.
And then
I don't think so either.
Obi-Wan having those memories, and then the Jedi, they, in the time of the prequels, they suppress so hard any sort of outside connection. It's what makes the Jedi and the High Republic so appealing, is because you see characters that are encouraged to have these connections with people, and encouraged to explore that within a certain still, parameters, but they're still, they're not cast aside because of these in this dogmatic view we see in the prequels. And I wonder if maybe, if Jude Law's character, I would love maybe that he's learned something from that as well. And that maybe that's how he's coming to care for these kids, even in a sense.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see what that show is. And Jude Law. I can't wrap my head around him being in Star Wars. I just can't do it. I can't do it. So it's going to be surreal seeing him.
What are the odds that at least one of these kids ends up being Force sensitive?
Probably very likely.
You think?
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker cameo at some point? The kid to take him to his school?
Possibly.
Because if we run far enough, because if we run far enough, it's got to happen after Ben Solo becomes his apprentice. It's got to happen after that because we know Ben was his first student in canon. So it's got to be after that.
I mean, timeline wise, this makes sense already because if this is already like 5 years after Mando, and Ben Solo by that point is, I believe,
6 or 7.
Yeah, like
he's like 6 or 7 now with Mando.
Yeah, maybe a bit younger. I can't remember. Let's see. Leia and Han.
He was born in the Battle of Jakku.
Yeah. He was born around that time because that trilogy ended with Ben being born, if I remember correctly.
Luke popping in for a minute, then popping out.
Yeah. Or some random guy popping in for a minute with a hood. No idea who he is, but Leia knew. What is this?
Well, Brian says that, and now I'm like, are we about to, fall in love with some Force-sensitive kid that we love? He gets dropped off with Luke, and we just know it sets up that he's going to get slaughtered by Ben Solo.
Are they, though? Because there's still so much time. There's so much time between Mando and that because Bloodline is 6 years before, and Luke and Ben are still doing their thing.
Yeah.
So I would need to dig into the recently released Timelines book to see if they have a concrete answer as to when that happened.
Jon Favreau muddied the crap out of that timeline when he opened his mouth and was like, "Oh, Luke, Grogu was with Luke for a couple of years," and you're like, "Wait, what? How is that even what?" And so it's like it's muddied the waters a little bit. We need to figure this out. We need that Timelines book.
I know. I need to buy
order it tomorrow.
I meant to talk to DK about getting a copy for myself, but I just never got around to it.
I'm gonna order it tomorrow. I need it. I need answers.
Yeah, and everyone is saying that it answers a lot of questions.
Thank God.
I mean, I mean, not like everything, but like little things like, all right, where is this specific Clone Wars episode in the timeline in relation to this, and this, and this? So it's things like that are really interesting to me. So I'm curious about what else is in there.
I need to know the exact date that Meeber Gascon led the droids on his little mission for 4 episodes. And I need to know the exact moment that happened.
The 4 worst episodes of Clone Wars?
No, they're not.
Meeber's my guy.
Not even close to the worst.
Well, he needs to pop up in Skeleton Crew. That's who we need.
I did see one of my buddies sent me a picture from the Timelines book. He got it. And I guess did they say in Clone Wars how old Professor Hu Yang was?
I don't think so, but I remember seeing that online that they say how old he is.
25,000 years ago, it says Professor Hu Yang powers up.
Could he be in the Dawn of the Jedi movie?
I'm wondering if they're not setting that up because he's literally like you have Ollivander and Harry Potter who remembers every wand ever.
Maybe he trains the first Jedi because it's the story of the first Jedi.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about it, I think it's going to happen because
they're putting him in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And so he's making his comeback. David Tennant's obviously coming back to voice him again. So why couldn't you put him in Dawn of the Jedi? I know
that's totally going to happen now that we're talking about it.
Yeah, it has to.
He's going to be one of the.
He's going to help them build the first lightsaber, dude.
Book it it right now.
You know what? I was thinking about it too. The Taika Waititi movie. Yep. We didn't get anything at Celebration for it, but when they did the timeline, the time eras, they squeezed in the Old Republic.
Yep.
They just were like, "Here you go." And so I'm thinking he's going to have an Old Republic movie. I think that's what it's going to end up being. But how cool would it be if we actually got a movie or a series, or I'll say it, even a novel that surrounds that Mandalorian Jedi with the Darksaber and that whole story? Now that, R.I.P. Darksaber, but we see its creation and dude, I was thinking about that the other day. I wanted to say something to somebody about it. I was going crazy.
No kidding. All right. Well, Emmy Wilson brings up another comment. I don't know if this is a thing. You know, one of the kids is Max Rebo's species.
I think I remember seeing something like a Max Rebo species thing related to Skeleton Crew. I don't know if it was one of the kids, but I thought I saw something like that.
Do a quick Google, see where this is coming from, because that'd be interesting.
It's actually Max Rebo's kid.
All right, Screen Rant. What do you have for us? All right. Jude Law, regular old guy, Ryan. That's a. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Oh, you might be right.
Yeah.
This Robert Timothy Smith appears to be the only one of the 4 children. This is from Screen Rant. Appears to be one of the only 4 children who plays an alien. And given that Skeleton Crew is still in post-production, there are very few shots of his character with completed CGI. However, based off the sneak peek, it's clear that his character is an ortolan, a blue and blubbery species whose most famous member is Max Rebo. I wish they'd made that skeleton trailer public so we could see this for ourselves, because I never look for the leak stuff, and I even more rarely go online to try to find information like that. So credit to you guys who do, but that's just not my cup of tea. I don't like doing that stuff because I like trying to stay as clean as possible. But yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. And I love that species, so I'm very excited to see what they do with that.
Every time I think of Max Rebo, my brain goes straight to like Robot Chicken when he's walking by the edge of the Sarlacc pit and somebody's hollering up. He's like, hey, is there somebody up there? I think it's Boba. And he's like, ain't nobody up here. You talking to yourself. Ain't nobody here with the wind. That's for now. Every time I see him on screen, because you never hear him talk. Right. In Return of the Jedi, you never hear him talk in Book of Boba Fett. And so that's all I place it with is some jazz player that's trying to get to the next gig.
I love how they blew up Garza's sanctuary and he's playing there. And then they were just like making sure that we knew, Max Rebo, he wasn't there that day. He called in sick. He's fine. He's still out there playing his jams.
Somehow he survived Jabba's sail barge. He's there for all the big explosions and he just pops up somewhere else.
Are either of you guys reading the Return of the Jedi series that Marvel's putting out right now?
Yes.
They're doing a Max Rebo issue.
Yes.
And I cannot wait. I cannot wait. After what Alyssa Wong did with the Ewoks issue, I cannot wait to see what this Max Rebo issue is. I when I saw that, my jaw dropped because I'm like, what?
You guys know they're doing that 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi, like the 40 short stories.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So in Legends, there was an entire story written about the guy who ended up donating the skull, basically, that Luke threw in Return of the Jedi to smash the panel, bring the door down on the Rancor. They wrote a whole story about that guy, how that skull got there. Are we going to see a story in the 40-year Return of the Jedi book from his point of view?
They gotta. I mean,
I say yes. It's going to be in there.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, the first 2 books, they have a lot of random characters just to fill pages. So, and that's one of those characters that is just random enough, but noticeable enough. That's like, definitely.
I think so. If they hadn't done it in Legends, we wouldn't even be talking about it. But they did it in Legends, and so now you have to like scratch your head for a second and go, are we getting a canon version of this guy's story? I don't remember what his name was. But they made it such a point to spotlight him. I don't think he got a full book. I think it was a story. Was it Tales from Jabba's Palace?
It might be.
That's where it was that he had a short story. But yeah, no, I'm gonna say 90% that we get one.
I'm very curious to learn more about that book because Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie. And one of, if not my favorite movie of all time. So
I'm gonna go see it tomorrow in the AMC theaters.
It's not playing here, so I'm stuck playing Survivor. Like, the nerve, the nerve of Marcus Theaters, man. Come on, all I want to see is Return of the Jedi on the big screen because I've never seen it on the big screen. Yeah, and that sucks.
Even like in '97 when they did the special edition, you didn't go see it.
I was 3, so maybe my mom took me, but no, I don't think so.
Man.
But no, my mom always says my first movie, and I don't remember it for hell, but was the New Hope special edition in '99. So I believe that allegedly is the first movie I've seen I saw in theaters. So yeah, I've never seen Return of the Jedi in theaters, and it sucks.
I was there opening night for the special edition Return of the Jedi. I was among the first to see the new dance number in Jabba's palace, the new musical number.
I love that dance number.
Did your jaw drop?
Yeah, it was wow.
And just up close and personal.
I was like
CGI lips.
Yeah. I was like 8 or 9 when I went and saw that, and I was just
nice
like,
noodles.
What?
I can't. I guarantee you, what I would love is a short story right before she goes on stage. In that, from a center point of view, or from a certain point of view book, before she goes on stage, her mindset before she goes and sings that dance number to Jabba. I think that could be really cool.
He just cracks her knuckles and goes out there.
Or maybe we get one after her or afterwards, and she is convinced she just tore the house down and is now going to rule the galaxy as this,
or maybe she's
pop star.
Or maybe she's all pissed off because her musical number got interrupted by Ula going down the Rancor pit. You know what I mean? Like, whoops.
Yeah, I would love to see some slice noodles in that book.
I love introducing people like they haven't seen Star Wars. I just remember like when my girlfriend, I showed her this, she'd never seen Star Wars, we're watching it, and we got to that moment in Return of the Jedi, and just seeing her face, like, what is going on for this random 2 minutes? She just kind of looks at me, and I'm like, what do you think? Yeah.
No. God, you got the weak way in the back, like playing the drum. Like, what the hell?
It's just so the way it goes back and forth from that to like Jabba just sitting eating his whatever and like, yeah, this is what I signed up for.
Right.
The 3 backup singers can't get their choreography right at all. Like they're just winging it.
And Boba vibing on the side.
Yeah. Backwards. They reversed the film. Did you notice that? His freaking antenna was on the wrong side. That scene had so many issues, so many
things they had to do back in 1983 to put that thing together. The things they had to do to make movie magic.
I've got the originals, the theatrical versions on Blu-ray, and I've got
them on DVD. So.
Yeah, I had to go back and show some friends.
And my New Hope one doesn't work, so I have to find a new one. So that's upsetting. But because I popped in the other day to watch the original New Hope, and it started freezing or like stuttering right when right before the probe droid scene. It's like, God, no, I want to see Tarkin, but it's like freezing on Tarkin, like stuttering. I'm like, God, why? I paid all of like $10 for you. Come on.
Aww.
Because
hey, don't feel bad. I paid $20 for the holiday special on Blu-ray. I did that. I took $20 out of my wallet and I gave it to somebody.
I almost did too. I can't begrudge you. I almost did as well, but I'm like, I have other things.
It's nice to own it.
Yeah,
it's not nice to watch it. It's nice just to have that thing be like, look what I got.
I still think a lot about stir, whip, stir, whip, 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 stir, stir, whip, stir, whip, 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 stir.
It's you keep that holiday special in there, like Lord of the Rings. Denethor wanted the ring. He's like, it was to be locked away, never to be used. Unless in the hour of most like dire need.
I'm gonna,
if you need a cooking lesson,
I'm gonna have a Christmas party this year, and I'm gonna invite a bunch of people over that I know have never seen it, and we're gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch it. They're gonna watch it, and I'm gonna sit in the other room and not put myself through that again. I watched it for the first time like a year ago, all the way through, and
yep.
Dang. Oh my.
It is something.
I was having chest pains during this movie because like I sat here and I used to have a big TV up on the other side of my studio, and I was sitting here watching it, and I did a full reaction video for like my Patreon page.
Oh yeah.
And I'd never watched it all the way
through. It's a good reaction watch.
I thought I thought this movie was almost over, and I looked and it still had like 45 minutes left on it.
Oh no.
No. Yeah, I started getting this claustrophobic feeling like, no.
Thankfully, the second half isn't as bad as the first half, because the first half of the holiday special is so random and so out there and so messed up. And but the second half, it tries to actually be a special and tell and tell a story, and it's a garbage Life Day story.
Derails, and you're just like, whatever.
But then you get the final like 10 minutes and a whole lot of more singing, and it is glorious in all of the worst ways.
The copy I have, the people who put it together added in their own subtitles for all the Wookiees talking, and you can turn the subtitles on and off. Dude. Thank you for doing that. If you guys are watching this, thank you for adding those subtitles. There's one point where Lumpy walks in and he's like screaming, like, and they just put the words at the bottom. I fucking love Adderall. It's so good. It's so good.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna torture people with that. That's my interrogation droid. That movie is my interrogation.
It's good. That's
like
a good
Dedra
choice.
has the sound of like with the noise the children made that when they took over Nandor, and then you just have the holiday special.
Gotta love it.
That's incredible.
Well, man, you got 30 minutes.
I don't want to talk for 30 more minutes. I'm getting a little. I don't know. I think we're running. I don't know. Should we call it a night here, guys?
Yeah, I think
that
so.
Works.
Well, to wrap it up, yeah, just this next week of Star Wars, it's looking pretty big. Because just as a reminder, guys, if you're not keeping up, we got Survivor coming out next week or tomorrow, and 30
an hour
or 32 minutes and 59 seconds from now. But yeah, so that's coming out in just a short while. If you're buying it tomorrow, you'll obviously play it then. But then that leads into Tuesday and the release of the High Republic Path of Vengeance, which Tyler will hopefully have a review ready to go for that day. Right, Tyler? You'll definitely have that review ready.
I gotta crank out the last 200 pages tomorrow, actually, probably.
Hey, if you could sit through the entire Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy in 12 days.
It'd be easy.
Yeah, you got this.
Yep. And then of course that leads into a horde of comics on Wednesday. If you're into that, we got a whole 7 comics coming out next Wednesday. So be ready for a lot of reviews on Star Wars News Net from that. But then Thursday, next Thursday's show, I imagine you guys will probably be talking some Star Wars Visions, maybe some Young Jedi Adventures. I don't know. But those both debut on Star Wars Day, May 4th, next Thursday. So, yeah, be sure to get into all that because it's a busy Star Wars week, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. So, Brian, where can the good people find you on the old interwebs?
Oh, boy. You guys can find me here on the Star Wars Newsnet YouTube channel doing weekly roundups and talking Star Wars Newsnet live every week. You guys can also find me at my show, the Star Wars Canon Podcast. We usually go live on Thursday nights, and then we upload the audio to our server so that you guys can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys find it. So my co-host, Usuf Wally, who lives across the pond in Cairo, Egypt, he always stays up really late so he can do the live stream. So come join us for a live stream and make his insomnia worth it. Make his forced insomnia worth it. So,
yeah. Tyler, where can the people find you?
Oh, just add TyBrad5 on Twitter. Be looking for that Path of Vengeance review coming out next week for Star Wars Newsnet. If you like High Republic, this is going to pretty much wrap up a lot of the next phase before we get into phase 3 in the fall.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Nate_Manningham. As I always say, I don't know where Manningham came from, but that's just the way it's going to stay. Be sure to follow me there for all kinds of good stuff. But yeah, we are coming up on 30 minutes away from Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm going to be getting some snacks, drinking some more dew, and ready to stay up all night. And if anyone is joining me, I hope you enjoy the game. And happy reading, happy watching, happy just enjoying Star Wars. It is a wonderful time to be a fan. And so with that, you guys have a good rest of your night. And see you later.